With the critical and commercial successes of both Metroid Fusion and Metroid Prime, Nintendo did the obvious thing and produced new installments for the Game Boy Advance and GameCube. Starting with
Metroid Zero Mission 2004. An enhanced remake of the original Metroid, this saw the NES Classic get a visual upgrade as well as new features and abilities including a map, new areas, and a section where you played Samus without her parasuit, which was referred to as Zero Suit Samus.
The game was built on a modified version of the Metroid Fusion engine, which cut down on development time and allowed the team to refine the gameplay to perfection. The game was released to positive reviews, with many critics praising the addictive blasting action, calling it better than Metroid Fusion. However, some were disappointed by the game's short length.
Metroid X Samus and Joey 2004.
Oh no, that Joey's back again. Yep, a sequel manga was released between May 2004 to April 2005, consisting of 12 issues. It existed only in the original comic Boom Boom magazines, making it a rare print and a highly sought after collectible.
Unlike the first set, this was not translated by fans, although maybe one day it will be.
Metroid Prime 2 Echoes 2004.
Echoes.
After the critical and commercial success of Metroid Prime, Nintendo asked Retro Studios to get to work on a sequel, and so they did.
Retro incorporated features initially cut from Metroid Prime like the screw attack, and based the game around the concept of light and dark. They also made the game more challenging as they wanted to toughen up the players like a stab of meat, and included a multiplayer mode just for laughs.
In typical Retro Studios fashion, the game was only 30% complete, 3 months before the game was due for release. However, that didn't stop them producing another critically acclaimed game that was highly praised by many. However, some criticisms were aimed at the game's steep difficulty and the underwhelming multiplayer portion. Stop doing that. You're gonna milk it.
Metroid Prime Pinball 2005.
Developed by the same people who did Mario Pinball Land, this was a pinball game which retold the story of Metroid Prime in a pinball setting, exploiting Samus's morph ball form.
Really?
Yes. The game was sold with the Rumble Pack, which meant the DS shook in your hands as you bounced Samus around the various tables.
Unlike Mario's pinball attempt, this one actually got decent reviews, with critics praising its pick-up and play gameplay and the use of the Metroid license. Some critics did complain about its lack of content, but they didn't stop it selling 20,000 copies. Wait, is that it?
Metroid Prime Hunters 2006. Don't milk it.
I'm not doing anything.
A handheld Metroid title, not developed by Retro Studios, but rather Nintendo Software Technology, this took the 3D Metroid gameplay from the consoles and brought it over to Nintendo's dual-screen handheld. However, the game pushed the series into more FPS territory, removing the lock-on component of the console versions and having a heavy emphasis on online competitive multiplayer.
The game made heavy use of the DS stylus and touchscreen, being used for looking around and aiming, which made critics both happy and angry.
Eurogamer, for instance, didn't like it, noting it would probably lead to physiotherapy on your arms.
All in all,
it did moderately well, but have a colpa there.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2006. In a surprising twist, both Samus and Link were set to appear in the Wii version of Marvel Ultimate Alliance, complete with their own iconic special moves.
However, when Nintendo discovered that their two characters were temporarily put on the PS2 version during development, they got furious and demanded them to be removed from the game entirely. And that, my children, is the story of how Samus almost worked with Captain America.
Metroid Prime 3 Corruption 2007.
The third installment in the Metroid Prime trilogy, this saw Samus team up with the Federation and a band of bounty hunters to take down Dark Samus, the evil Samus Duppelganger who appeared at the end of Metroid Prime 2. Or was that Metroid Prime? I forget. More epic in scale, the game also included tons of voice acting. And you know what? It was pretty decent voice acting too.
Oh.
Ooh.
The big selling point of this game, however, was its use of the Nintendo Wii's unique control scheme, which allowed for precision aiming and a greater level of immersion in Samus's world. The reviews of the game were very positive, with many declaring it to rival the original Metroid Prime, and it sold over 1 million copies worldwide.
Super Smash Bros. Brawl 2008. Samus appeared as a playable fighter in Nintendo's All-Star Fighting Series. Woohoo!
Metroid Prime Trilogy 2009.
Retro Studios released a compilation of all 3 Metroid Prime games, giving the first 2 games added Wii Remote functionality.
Other updates included shorter loading times, improved textures, blooming lighting, and altered visual effects. It released to very positive reviews, with many critics declaring it to be a fantastic value for Monday.
You mean money?
That's what I meant. I meant money, not Monday.
METROID Other M, 2010.
Developed by Team Ninja of Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive fame, this Metroid title sought to explore the origins of Samus for the very first time, answering questions like, when does Samus eat?
In doing so, they made a very story-driven Metroid game where Samus spoke, consistently in a bland and monotonous tone. The game utilized a simple control scheme that involved flipping the Wii Remote to explore in third person and first person, with the first person viewpoint being mainly used to find items or aim at enemy weak points.
Ultimately, the game was released to mixed reviews. Most critics found the gameplay to be fairly decent, but found the overabundance of story to be heavily distracting, putting heavy criticism on Samus's characterization.
One particular sequence that caused civil unrest is the bit Samus encounters Ridley and begins to cry like a baby, even though at this point she has already defeated him 5 times. Look, here! Boom, Metroid. Boom, Metroid Prime. Boom, Metroid Prime 3. Boom, Metroid Prime 3 again. Boom, Super Metroid. The game was considered a financial disappointment, selling only 500,000 copies worldwide.
Nintendo Land 2012. While not a Metroid game, an attraction appears in the game in the form of Metroid Blast. It allows your Mii to dress up in a Vario suit, either run or fly around, blasting classic Metroid enemies. Nothing special, but it's good fun. It's just a shame that the Pinkman attraction doesn't feature the Puddington Bees. Peas.
Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS 2014. Samus appeared as a playable fighter in Nintendo's All-Star Fighting Series. Whoa!
Metroid Prime Federation Force 2016. Revealed at E3 2015, Nintendo showed off a multiplayer Metroid game focusing entirely on the Galactic Federation, exploring planets and blasting down creatures for the Nintendo 3DS. The game also includes a weird football-esque multiplayer mode. It's being developed by Next Level Games, who have previously worked on the critically acclaimed Luigi's Mansion 2, an absolute fabulous game.
Despite seeming mechanically sound, the game was slated by fans, gaining overwhelming negative reception and some people wishing it was all a bad dream. In fact, the response was so negative, a petition was called for the cancellation of the game, reaching 7,500 signatures in under 24 hours, and eventually 20,000 signatures in 2 months.
So how much has it got now?
I don't know. Ultimately, it seems a bit harsh to rip apart a game that hasn't come out yet, so I guess only time will tell if the game is actually as bad as everyone else making it out to be.
So, all in all, despite the occasional downs, the Metroid series has been a consistently brilliant series, leaving a legacy that many video games have tried to emulate, but never equaled.
Hopefully after Nintendo finish off with Federation Force, we'll get a new entry in the series that makes us say, wow, amazing!
Bossa Nova!
What? Yeah? Bossa Nova?
Chevy Nova?
Oh.
Excellent! Yeah.